Have you ever taken a trip and gotten where you're going only to think, how did we get here? Life is like that for many of us, looking at what's happening in the world and wondering, are we headed in the right direction? I've studied history for ever since I was 7 years old. That's 50 years. And I've studied the Bible for 40, which is ever since I was saved. And I've learned a lot on my journey, and I'm very much of a digger. I'm a miner, you might say. I'm always seeking truth and wisdom. I like to take a balanced approach and look at everything. There are always two sides to every story. And so I'd like you to join me as I reflect back and look forward to see how we can all make a mark in the world. And I want to introduce you to my new channel. This channel is going to be kind of focus on an adventure, you might say. Like I said before, the way I look at the world is I've got that 50 years of experience of studying in history and another 40 years studying the Bible. And so I kind of see the world through a pair of glasses where this side is history and this side is my beliefs. Like I said, the Bible. And so that's the way I look at things. And so I want this channel to be kind of an adventure. I want us to discover new things, or a lot of the deep thoughts that I've had, the things I've studied, and kind of look at the world and go, there needs to be some truth, and there needs to be some understanding of why do we do what we do? Why do we go where we go? As far as like us as individuals, us as family, communities, and even our country. Why do we do what we do? So I think of it, like I said, like an adventure. And so I know the first thing you're probably wondering is, what's the deal with the side mirror? Well, there's a story behind that, and it's sort of what motivated me to start this channel. And I'll give you that story. If you can wait and toward the end, I'll share you that story. But I want to tell you another story. A few years back when my daughter was turning 15, my wife and I decided to take her to go see the Colorado mountains, the Rockies. Now, where we live, we're near the Appalachian Mountains, and we love our mountains. But, you know, when you've been around a bunch of mountains for most of your life, they tend to get a little bit boring. And so you want to go see something new. Now, this was something new for my daughter. My wife and I, on our honeymoon, had gone out to Colorado. And so on this trip, we were headed to Denver. And so on the way, we passed through St. Louis, Missouri. And going down the highway, I looked and I saw the Gateway Arch, and I thought, wow, wouldn't it be nice to see that arch? But I didn't think anything of it, and we headed on to Colorado. And we had a fun trip. I mean, we went to see the Garden of the Gods, Red Rock. We even went to the top of Pikes Peak, and I don't know if my lungs could have handled it because that mountain is so high. I mean, I had to kind of to not crawl, but pitter-patter my way to the visitor center, the gift shop, and so forth. I mean, I was out of breath. But we had fun, and we spent a couple of weeks just touring around and looking at all the Rockies. We even went up to the Rocky Mountain National Park, and it was snowing when we got up there. We thought that was crazy in September. But then it was time for us to pack up and head home. And so here we go. And just like any trip, I always take my Garmin because I never want to get lost. I mean, we're always tight on time, and we've got to get to a hotel at some point as quickly as possible to get checked in and so forth. Here we were going toward back home, and we happened to get close to St. Louis, and all of a sudden my Garmin tells me, hey, you need to take this exit. It says, hey, take exit such and such number. I can't remember what the number was. And so, following the Garmin, not wanting to get lost, I take the exit. And I get off the exit and it says, turn right. And so, lo and behold, I turn right, and there it was. You know, I kind of prayed on the way out to Colorado that I would get to see the Gateway Arch, but I never thought that I would get to see it up close. I mean, again, we were tight on time, but we went and we stopped, and I looked at it, and I just couldn't help but look how massive it was. Me and my daughter didn't get the courage enough to take the elevator to the top. I mean, I was like, oh, that might make me sick in my stomach going up there, but we didn't. But I got to see it. And so we get back in the car and head back home. And when I got back, I just kind of thought, you know, if that Garmin hadn't interfered, that trip to the Gateway Arch would have just been history. It would have been behind me. And, you know, life is kind of like that. You know, that side view mirror that I referred to? That side view mirror has kind of told a story in itself. See, I like to drive. I like to drive everywhere I go. And one day I just decided I'd let my wife drive. I mean, I can ride, and it's no problem. I'm not too proud. And as we're riding down this road, I just got a notion to get my phone and start recording. And I started recording that side mirror. And when I got done, I looked at the video, and I'm like, you know, that speaks. It speaks about how the past, which is a representative of the image in the mirror, can teach us so much. And it can teach us so much as time's going by, and that's like the trees on the side as we're going down the road. And it helps us when we learn from the past to kind of how to navigate the future, how to miss the potholes, or try to remember kind of where we've been and how we've gotten here. Sometimes you look in the mirror. You know, that brings me to some interesting quotes when it comes to history. Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., he was the son of the poet Oliver Wendell Holmes. He, in the early 1900s, served on the Supreme Court. And he had a quote. And the quote was, "When I want to understand what is happening today, or try to decide what will happen tomorrow, I look back." Winston Churchill once said, "The farther backward you can look, the farther forward you're likely to see." And Juliet Gordon Low, who was the founder of the Girl Scouts, on March 12, 1912, said, "The work of today is the history of tomorrow, and we are its makers." We can learn a lot from the past. We can kind of learn from the the morals of whatever belief system we have. Like I said, I'm a Christian, so I tend to use the Bible. We can learn from it. And that rearview mirror reminded me of that. And so when you wonder why things happen, why do we do things like we do, especially in America? There are events that happen, and so I want to focus on those events. May it be political, maybe it just be something social. But I just feel like there's a deep well that I can provide in sharing light into why we do what we do. And is what we're doing the right thing? And so I'm going to have a lot of opinions, a lot of insight, and sometimes you may not agree with me. And I encourage that if you've got a different side, I'm open to debate. Now, I'm not open to arguments. I mean, we get into so many arguments and pointing fingers and name calling, but open debate is a good thing. And so I want this to be an opportunity to kind of look at things, kind of like looking at that side mirror. Because I believe that if we really gain a greater understanding of the world around us, we can really make a mark on the world. And that's my hope. Well, God bless you. And if you would like to continue this journey with me, just hit that like button and hit subscribe and come join the adventure with me. God bless.